Well, today our lecture deals with wrapper classes. Now, what exactly are the wrapper classes? Now, corresponding to every data type, just as we have int, we have float, we have char, we have double, we have long, we have corresponding classes, just as for int we have integer, for float we have float. So, for every data type we have a corresponding class. Now these classes collectively we call as wrapper classes. Now first of all, why we call them as wrapper classes? Because when you create an object of this class, it is wrapped around an int value. Suppose I have an int value. So the object of this class is wrapped around this int value. So we call this as a wrapper class. So this object is created by wrapping an int value. So now what exactly is the purpose of a wrapper class? Now it is basically to serve two purposes. One is to convert any string value which contains actually a int, to convert a string value to an int value when we know that the string actually contains a int. There are many sequences or many situations where actually we pass the value and that value exactly is an int. So we need to convert that string to an int. And secondly, we have the utility in case of utility classes, where we have no option to add only objects to the utility classes, just as we have vector, we have hash maps and many other classes in which we have the limitation that we cannot add data types, we can only add objects. So we create objects corresponding to the int data types, just as I have created an integer value corresponding to a, and then in case I create a vector which is one of the utility classes. Now what exactly is a vector? A vector is an array, but it has unlimited memory, so you can store any number of elements in a vector. The only condition is it cannot store any data type. I cannot write v.add a. So we cannot add int data types to this, but we can add integer class object corresponding to the int value. So this is the restriction that we have in case of utility classes. And secondly, to convert from a string to int or from any data type to string, we can use these classes. So I'll just demonstrate what exactly is the use. Suppose I have a string result, value is 44, and or you can say number 1 is this, string number 2 is equal to 55, and I need to have the sum of these two. But since I know that both of these are int values, adding a string will only give me 44, 55, but I need the output as 99. So I'll create one number by using the method integer dot parseInt. Now this method takes string as a parameter and returns you an int value. And the second way to convert a string to int is I have another method called value of, which takes string as parameter and gives us an object of integer class. So now from the integer class I can again generate the number 2 by writing ii.int value. So from any integer object I can generate the int value by using the method int value, and from any string I can convert to int either directly using parseInt or we can convert to an integer class object using value of, and then from the integer object we can get the int value. And now I can say the sum of the two numbers is plus nn plus n2. Just pass number 2 here. So let us see the output. So it comes out to be 99. So this is how we are using the wrapper classes to convert any string value to int or any string value to an integer value, and then from the integer value we can generate the number. Second use is, in case I have a number a and I need to convert this to a string, I can use integer dot toString and pass this number as parameter, and this will return me a string, number to string. So I can now use this number as a string. So this is the second way of using this wrapper class, that we can convert any int to a string. Another shortcut I can just demonstrate to you, which we can also use, that is just add double quote and add any type of data that you want to convert to a string, and this is the shortcut to convert any type of data to string. Just add double quotes and the concatenation operator and add the value, and you get an output which is a string. Now similar is the procedure in case we want to use any other wrapper class. Suppose I wish to use float, then very similar to how we created the object for integer, I can say new float and pass any float value as a parameter, and then as we used integer.parseInt to convert from a string to a int, in case I have a string which is 4.4, then I can write float dot parse float, and I can pass pf as a parameter and return the value as a float. So this exactly is a procedure to create object for a wrapper class. You write the name of the class, a reference variable, new, then the class constructor, and passing any float value or whatever value data type is the wrapper class, you have to pass that as a parameter, and this object will contain this value. Now whenever you need to get the value out of the object, you need to say dot float value. So as we used int value, you can use the float value. So to convert from a string to a float, you write float dot parse double, and similarly you have double dot parse double. So I just print this fn, and also we can see the output of this. So now just comment this, as we have already gone through this. So we'll just see how we are working with floats. So we have 4.4. So this is the value that we had in float, but had the representation as a string. And to actually get the float value out of this, we can use float dot parse float. So this is how we are using the wrapper classes. They are very handy when we are working with command line parameters, as well as when we are using utility classes.